Drabba yagyas tathopa yagya, yoga yagyas tatha pare, swadhyaya jnana yagyascha, yataya sanshita brataha. So it talks about two kinds, kinds of yagya. There's the first yagya that it talks about is drabya yagya. Drabya yagya means the yagya or the sacrifice or the fire sacrifice that you do with 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 matter, with worldly matter, like with things of this world, like giving up these things of this world, sacrificing your sacrificing your possessions, sacrificing things which you have. This is called drabya yagya. So this drabya yagya is of two kinds. One is one it is called purta, and the other is called datta. So, you know, uh, according to the scriptures, it says the first one is called purta, and the next one is called datta. What is purta? Purta is like building building houses for people to live. Making wells or lakes so that people can have water. You know, these kind of things. Making temples for gods, distribution of food. These activities. Or building rest houses or guest houses for and giving them free for people. These are called purta. And protection of those who take refuge, not injuring living beings, and charity that is made outside the sacrificial ground is called datta. That is a person who wants your help, to help that person, to protect his or her interest is called datta. Or uh, or not injuring living beings, not injuring, like becoming non vegetarian completely, or like becoming vegan, turning into vegan foods, then not harming people for your own benefit. So these are called, this type of attitude is called, or activities is called datta. So the first thing that we should do, or the first thing, the first sacrifice that that takes us into the world of spirituality is drabya yagya. We have to start from the world. We have to start from the world with the worldly things. But here also the intention is not for ourselves. The intention is to others, to sacrifice, to give up, our interest, to give up our, our happiness, for the happiness of the people at large. So drabya yagyas tathopa yagya. The first thing is drabya yagya, and then uh, uh, it is called, after drabya yagya, it is called tapo yagya. Tapa means to to burn yourself, to burn your body, to burn your mind. So after you have burned your own worldly interest, after you have given up your own worldly interest, the next kind of yagya is tapo yagya. That is to burn yourself, to burn your body, to to not feed the body properly, so that you don't satisfy your body, to not let the mind do its job, to not listen to the mind, to not respond to the to the needs of the body and mind, and keeping them very very diligent into into the self, or into sadhana, is called tapo yagya. While I'm doing this, like I sit down and meditate for 12 hours. So while I'm doing this, my body needs rest. My legs are paining, my this back is paining, but I don't respond to that. I just let my body pain. I just let my back to be pain, and I just stay there still, whatever may be, but I will not move. So this kind of attitude is called, you know, that is called tapo yagya, tapa. That is burning of my own body or burning of my own mind or my ego. It's called tapo yagya. So that is also one kind of yagya, which, the aspirants, they do. Then drabya yagya, stathopa yagya, yoga yagya. Then it comes yoga yagya. Like you might have heard about the Patanjali 8 limbs of yoga, isn't it? Have you heard about Patanjali 8 limbs of yoga? That is Ashtanga yoga. So this Patanjali Ashtanga yoga is this, yoga yagya. It starts from yama, then niyama, then asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. It starts from mental modifications. It starts from mental discipline. Like when it says yama, this yama has 5 constituents. The first one is called ahimsa. That is, non-violence, not harming anybody, not hurting anybody mentally, physically, or with your words, verbally. It's called ahimsa. When you don't harm a person, when you don't hurt a person mentally, from your mind, from your words, and from your actions, that is called ahimsa. The next one is called asteya. Asteya means not having this, this tendency of stealing. We have this tendency of stealing things because we have greed. Hello? Hello? Do you hear me?
Hey, Somaji, we can hear you now. It just freezes every now and then. We just miss bits.
Wait. Now is it okay?
Yeah.
Now is it okay?
Okay, thank you.
So, did you hear what I said?
Just repeat that last little bit after ahimsa.
Okay, so yama has 5 constituents. The first one is ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence, not harming or hurting people from your mind, from your words, and from your actions is called ahimsa. Next one is asteya. Asteya means not having this tendency of stealing. People have tendency of stealing. They, if you just let things around and if you are not careful, you might not find them again. They might steal it. So they have this tendency of stealing. So not having this tendency of stealing, that is not having greed in your mind, it's called asteya. So you need to discipline your mind so that it is not greedy. It doesn't develop the tendency of stealing. So asteya. And then the third one is satya. Satya means truth. Now this truth has got many dimensions. Like when we say truth, it is not only speaking the truth. Speaking the truth is truth, but we have to be very careful that while speaking the truth, it should not harm others. That is also, you should speak that truth which will not harm others, which will not harm a good man, harm the interest of a honest man, of an innocent man. That also you have to be very careful about. So speaking the truth. Now truth has got like speaking truth means speaking the truth, but not speaking the that truth which can harm others. Number 3 is, if somebody has confided to you, somebody has conveyed some kind of secret, to you, and if you have promised that you are not going to, make it public, you need to keep your words. That is also truth. If you just, if you just break your promise, that is not truth. Okay, that is falsehood. Then if you have taken some kind of, like vow that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, you're taking some kind of, resolution. So you need to stick very, very diligent in that resolution. You should not break it. So that is also being in truth. And then, if you see something good happening in front of your eyes, like some justice, happening in front of eyes, supporting that justice is also called truth. And if you see some injustice which is happening in front of you, opposing that injustice is also truth. In front of your eyes, if there is some injustice and you think that, well, I am a spiritual person, I have nothing to do with this, and you just keep mum, you don't say a word, that is being, untruthful. If you see that there is some kind of injustice happening in front of your eyes, you need to protest it. You need to, stop it. Okay. So these are all truth. So the three things that we have discussed. Number one is, ahimsa, asteya, then satyam. The fourth one is brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means always being very steadfast into the into the thought of Brahman, in such a way that you don't get distracted in any other things of this world, is called brahmacharya. Brahmacharya in many ways, in India, it means that living a life of a celibate. Living a life of a celibate is only possible when, your mind is so much absorbed into the thought of the self that, you know, you become a natural celibate, that your mind does not go anywhere else. Your mind doesn't get distracted in any other things of this world. So it's always in the self, and thereby, you become a very natural celibate. So this is the fourth one was brahmacharya, and the fifth one was aparigraha. Aparigraha means, not feeding the senses, not feeding the mind, keeping the mind hungry, keeping the senses hungry. I need this, I need that. My eyes, ears want to hear that. My tongue wants to taste this. My skin wants to touch it. My nose wants to smell it. My mind wants to go here. My mind wants to go there. Mind wants to enjoy this, that. Not letting the mind or the senses, have their word, restricting their movements, restricting their aspirations, is called, aparigraha. When you completely, stop your senses and the mind, to have their final say, when you don't feed them, when you don't feed the mind and the senses, that is called aparigraha. So this five is yama. The next one is niyama. Niyama also has five components. The first one is shaucha. The second is santosha. Third one is swadhyaya. Fourth, tapas. And fifth is ishwar pranidhana. So saucha. What is saucha? Keeping the body and the mind always clean. So, we keep our body clean, like we wash our body, we take a shower, we clean our body. So, whenever, always cleaning, keeping the body clean, keeping the body sanitized, keeping the body always clean is called shaucha. But that is not enough. You also have a mind. So keeping the mind, mind clean, so that the mind does not have any distractions. The mind does not have any So how to do it? The first thing is always chanting the name of the Lord. This is one way by which we can keep our mind, you know, keep our mind clean and pure. Then, you know, then following certain disciplines in life, like, you know, like Shama Arjab, Daya Tosham, Santosham, Satyam. These are the these are some of the these are some of the uh, attributes or some of the qualities which we need to practice. Shama. Shama means to forgive. We need to become a natural forgiver. You know, people may do a lot of wrong things to us. People may harm us. We should be very careful that we should not harm them back. We should not hurt them back. We should always accept what comes in our way. So, you know, accepting everything, all the hurt, all the pains, all the sufferings caused by others, you know, this is called shama. This is called, forgiveness. So shama. Then arjab. Arjab means being very sincere to your job. Whenever you are doing any job, whenever you're doing any work, be very sincere, be very honest. So that is called arjab. So that is also a quality by which your mind becomes very pure. Your mind becomes very, free from all dirt. Then shama arjab. Daya means to love, to care, to love, to care for others is called daya. So when you can love and care for others, then your mind becomes very, very pure. Your mind becomes very, very, uh, like uh, like it has got this, it's nectar. The mind becomes, full of divine nectar. The mind becomes full of divine fragrance. So you need to love others. Daya. Tosham means contentment. Whatever I am, whatever I am, having no greed, having no lust, having no jealousy, having no envy. I'm happy with myself. I'm happy with myself. This is called santosha. If you have this, you will see most of your problems are gone. You will always remain peaceful. Santosha. Then swad. Then satyam. Satyam we have already discussed. Truthfulness. So if we can if we can uh, if we can maintain this kind of if we can practice these qualities, then we will see our mind always remains pure, our mind always remains clean. So that is being in saucha, that is having a clean body and having a clean mind. Then number 2 is santosha. Santosha means contentment, that we have already said. Contentment, being very contented in whatever condition I am, in whatever position I am, I'm always contented. So that is being in, always being in content. Then the third is swadhyaya. Swadhyaya. What is that swadhyaya? Swadhyaya means, you know, engaging ourselves into the study of the Upanishads. When I am studying, when I'm studying Upanishads, when I'm studying about the knowledge of the self, that is called Swadhyaya. Also, when I am chanting this, "Om, Om, Om, Om." So when I'm chanting this Om, that is also called Swadhyaya. If you feel very down, if you feel very, like restless, anxious, just keep everything aside. Just chant this Om for some time. Try to connect with this Om, which is already there within your mind, within your body. Om. Om. You'll see that you have become very, very calm, very quiet. So that is called Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya also has another meaning. Swadhyaya means, Swa means self. Adhyaya means meditating. So meditating on the self also is called Swadhyaya. When I meditate on myself, when I'm, when I'm when I'm thinking about myself, who am I? Who am I? That is also Swadhyaya. So Swadhyaya is the third component of niyama. The fourth one is tapas. Tapas. Like now we have discussed tapo yagya. Tapo yagya means burning my body, burning my mind, burning all my desires, burning all the distractions, burning everything that distracts me into this world, that attracts me to this world, burning all the faculties that attracts me to this world, which makes me binded with this world. That is called tapas. Sometimes my mind, sometimes my body needs things by which I get directly attracted towards this world, and I get binded by this world, attached to this world. So I need to stop my body, desire those, want those. So that is called tapas. Sometimes my mind does it. My mind needs something. My mind wants to enjoy something which takes me directly into this world, and not only takes me into this world, which makes me binded with this world. So I need to stop my mind. So, burning the aspirations of the body and the mind, burning the desires of the body and the mind, burning all the wants and needs of the body and the mind, or the intellect and the ego, the same thing, that is called tapas. And keeping it very steadfast into the thought of the self, not only stopping or restraining the mind and the body to go into this world or enjoy, not only that, also at the same time keeping the mind and the body, steadfast in the knowledge of the self, that I am the self, I am the truth, I am this consciousness. So keeping the mind there is called tapas. So the fourth component of niyama is called tapas or tapa. And the fifth is Ishwar Pranidhana. Ishwar Pranidhana is, doing all this yama, practicing this yama and niyama very, very perfectly, very, very sincerely. Lastly, when you surrender everything to the wish of the Lord, when you don't hold them as your own achievement, as your own accomplishment, when you don't say that I've done this, I've done that, without saying this, after doing everything, when you just surrender everything to the lotus feet of the Lord and say, this is all because of you. This is all this has all become possible because of your grace, because of your grace, because of your mercy, because of your love, and I am nothing but yours. So when you completely surrender into the lotus feet of the Lord, after doing everything perfectly, very honestly, very sincerely, that is called Ishwar Pranidhan. And if you don't do this one, the last one, you remain incomplete. Your sadhana, your tapas, your austerity, it remains incomplete. So doing everything very diligently, very, very perfectly, very, very sincerely, you need to give everything to the lotus feet of the Lord. surrendering, to the lotus feet of the Lord is called Ishwar Pranidhana. So this is Yama and Niyama. The third is, Asan. Asan means, posture, sitting posture, standing posture. Like, you know, if you will see that when you are uncomfortable with yourself, when you do not have a very, when you do not have a very comfortable mind, you will see your sitting position, your standing position, your walking position is also not comfortable. If you see, or if you're lying down, you will see you cannot lie down. There's some, strain. There's some strain in your neck. There's some strain in your back. Maybe there's some strain in your feet, legs. There will be something or the other. You will not be comfortable. Your body will not be comfortable. So, as as the mind, as the mind or the mental state, when my mental state affects the state of my body, the state of well-being of my body, you know, at the same way, in the same way, the well-being or the state, the state of well-being of my body also, has an effect on the state of well-being of my mind. If I can keep my body very, very, like, if I can keep my body very, very relaxed, very, very composed, very, very comfortable, you will see that your mind also will become very comfortable. If you cannot do meditation, if you see that you cannot, you cannot do meditation because you are very distracted, your mind is very, very, very distracted, you cannot stop your mind. Just try to be comfortable with yourself while you are sitting. Sit comfortably. Be very, comfortable. Be very grounded. Put your feet in the ground. Feel the feet. Feel the ground. Feel the ground. Be very comfortable. You will see, your mind will become quiet. So posture has got a great effect in our lifestyle, in our quality of life. So asan means, positioning the body into certain postures by which the prana, the mind, the knowledge, the flow of prana, the flow of mind, the flow of knowledge becomes, perfectly aligned in such a way that they become conducive in our journey towards the self. Okay, so, these are called sitting postures or standing postures or any postures, mudras, asanas, all the same, mudras or asanas or postures, they're all same. So asanas also has got a very, important effect in our journey towards the self, in making the mind calm, in disciplining the mind. I've seen this. I cannot meditate. My mind is very my mind is very restless. Then I realize that it is not only the mind which is restless. I am also not sitting perfectly comfortable. My sitting is not also comfortable. There's some kind of, I'm not sitting in a very, like in a very like balanced way. My sitting posture, or if I'm standing, or if I'm doing anything, it's not balanced. The whole energy is not balanced. So the moment I make myself comfortably, sit in the chair or in the bed, wherever, then I see my mind becomes quiet. So, these postures has got a direct effect on the regulation of the mind. So spirituality is so easy, if we know everything about ourselves, everything about our body, everything about our mind. This is, spirituality means the science of the body and the mind, the science by which the body and the mind works. And if we know the whole science about the body and the mind, we see, this journey becomes very, very easy. So yoga has got a very important yoga, that is, this yoga, that is this asanas or pranayama, they also has a very important effect in our spiritual life. most of us following the Jnana Yoga, who follow Jnana Yoga, or who are in the path of Jnana, we we ignore this aspect of our existence. These pranayamas, these asanas, we ignore them. We should not, because these all the spiritual, all the spiritual stalwarts that we may count, every spiritual stalwarts used to practice yoga. So you cannot ignore them. You cannot ignore them. You need to make it a part of your life. And by making that a part of your life, you will see not only your body will be well maintained, you will see this well maintained body will help you tremendously in your pursuit towards the self. And that is why, this yama, niyama, asana, and then pranayama. Now, pranayama, what is pranayama? Pranayama is, restraining or stopping this flow of prana. That is stopping the flow of breathing in. Regulate in one word, it is regulating this breathing in and breathing out. It's the same like my sitting posture has got a direct effect on my mind. In the same way, when you become very angry, you will see that you are having very fast breathing. If you see, when you're very angry, you will see you will breathe very fast. When you're very, scared, you will see your breathing becomes very slow. It becomes very slow. When you're happy, you have a different kind of breathing. When you're sad, you will have a different kind of breathing. So your breathing changes according to your moods, according to your, your sentiments. If you can, regulate your breathing, then, whatever may be your, your mental state, you will always remain unattached from that. Okay? If you can regulate your breathing. So that is why pranayama came into existence. Pranayama means restraining the prana. That is, controlling the breathing. Now, there are 5 kinds of prana. I think I've told you 5 kinds of prana, these life forces, that is, these forces, 5 kind of winds which work within our body. Now, pranayama basically deals with these 3, that is, breathing in, breathing out, these 2. One is, breathing in is called apana, and breathing out is called prana. So, restraining this, breathing in, that is, breathing in slowly, regulating it. Like when I'm breathing in, I'm unaware about my breathing. I don't have, I'm not conscious, I'm not aware. I just breathe in and breathe out. I'm not aware about that. Here it says, when you breathe it in a meter way, like count 12 times or 16 times and breathe in like that. Like I breathe, like I've counted 10, and then I stop there for some time. And then I breathe out. I breathe out 15. In this way, if you can practice for some time in your day, like breathing in, stopping it. If you breathe in for 10 or 15 or 16, stop there for 16 and breathe out for 20. Always breathe out more than breathing in. If you can do it for like some time, you can see your mind, how the mind, works, how the mind changes, what is the quality of your mind. So then you realize how much important pranayama is to have a very, very perfect mind, that mind which will help me in the journey of myself. So if you can do this pranayama, there are many various kinds of pranayama. If you can do this pranayama every day for like 30 minutes, you will see your quality of life changes. A very simple pranayama I have shown you, like breathe in slowly for 16 and count 16, stop there for 16 and breathe out for 20. If you can just do this for 5 minutes, you can see how much effect it might bring to you. So this is one kind of, this is called Vastika, one kind of pranayama. There are many others. Okay, so try to do that also. So pranayama. So yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, then pratyahara. Pratyahara is the same. Stopping the mind, or not feeding the mind, not feeding the senses, not feeding the body. That is also that we have already discussed this pratyahara. So the fifth one is also pratyahara. That is stop, not feeding the body, not feeding the mind. My mind needs this, my mind needs that, my body needs this, my body needs that. Don't do that. Just be quiet. Just be relaxed. Stop the body. Try to stop the body. Try to stop the mind by not giving them what they need, what they ask for. You will see that that will help you tremendously. So yama, niyama, asan, pranayama, pratyahara. The sixth one is dharana. When you have crossed this threshold of pratyahara, when you are perfected into pratyahara, then your guru tells you, you are the self. You are the knowledge. You are not the body. You are the self. You are consciousness. Then your guru says this. And when you listen to that, immediately you can perceive that. Immediately you can contemplate that. Immediately it comes into your perception. Yes, I am the self. There is no confusion at all. You can completely absorb this idea of yours being the self. You can completely absorb this idea. Yes, I am the self. You don't have any confusion at all. So this is called dharana. That is, absorbing or being that what I am being told, perceiving that what I am being instructed. That is called dharana. Then when I am completely situated in the dharana, when I'm completely established into the dharana, this dharana, this dharana makes me flow towards the subject of the dharana. What is the subject of dharana? The subject of dharana is the self. So when I'm completely, when I'm completely at peace with this thought that I am the self, I am not static, I am not there only. This perception or this thought that I am the self, this thought flows. This thought flows not into this world, but into the world beyond. It transcends the world. It starts to go into the opposite direction of the mind. The mind always flows into this world. But this dharana, when I am completely, when I'm completely absorbed in this thought that I am the self, this dharana, this mind moves into the opposite direction. It transcends the world. It goes into this movement of the mind into the opposite direction and trying to reach the goal, trying to reach the object of dharana is called dhyana or meditation. That is called meditation, when there's this flow within, not outside. And this flow is a spontaneous flow. It's a natural flow. It's not a. It's not a. It's an effortless flow. It's not an effort made by the mind or by the intellect or by the ego. It's not that. It's a very natural flow. It starts, it just flows into there effortlessly. You don't meditate, you become meditative. You become meditative. You don't meditate. Till you meditate, you don't meditate. When you stop meditation and become meditative, that is called the real meditation. Just it flows inside, within. And while it flows within, at one time, it reaches that state of unity. It reaches that state of the self, that consciousness. And then I realize I am that consciousness. That is called, attaining the state of samadhi. So it starts from here, from dharana. It starts from dharana, and from dharana, it goes within dhyana. It goes through dhyana into the state of samadhi, where I become completely one with the self, where there is nothing to know, where there is nothing to know, where there is nothing to realize, where there is nothing to go. Everything has come to halt. Everything has come to a standstill. Everything comes to a perfect balance. Unification, unification. It's come to a complete unification, oneness, one. Where the river has come and got mixed into the ocean, and the river does not remain as a river. The river has completely become the ocean. When it has become the ocean, then the movement of the river has stopped. The movement of the river is till it reaches the ocean. The point when it reaches the ocean, it becomes the ocean, and all movement stops. All movement stops. It becomes the ocean. It is the ocean at that point. It is the ocean. So here also, when I reach the state of samadhi, I am the self. I am the self. Till now, I was on the journey towards the self. Till now, the self was different from me. The self was different from me, separate from me, separate from me, far from me, far from me. But now I have reached the self. I have become the self. I became one with the self. There is no difference. There is no difference. There is no separation. There is no separation. I'm that. This is called the state of samadhi. So yoga yagya, this yoga yagya, there is 8 limbs of yoga. These 8 limbs of yoga also takes me towards the state of samadhi. So it says, drabba yagyas tathopa yagya, yoga yagyas tatha pare. First, you start with drabba yagya. You start with the yagya, with the sacrifice of matter, material things. Material things. Then yoga, then tapo yagya. Then you start tapa. Then you start to burn your mind. Then you start to burn your body. Make your mind and body, fit to undergo this journey towards the self. And then yoga yagyas tatha pare. Then you start this yoga yagya. The first one is drabba yagya, then yoga yagya, then tapo yagya, and then yoga yagya. And then swadhyaya jnana yagyascha yataya sankshita brataha. There are other yoga also. That is, the first one is swadhyaya. That is, if you here swadhyaya means meditating on the self. There are other kinds of sacrifice also. The one sacrifice is meditating on the self, swadhyaya. When you meditate on the self, when you become, when you are concentrating on the self, that is also a kind of yajna by which you offer all your ignorance into knowledge and become that knowledge. Swadhyaya jnana yajnascha, that is jnana yajna, that is jnana yajna, that is being in that is being in the yajna of knowledge. When I am completely absorbed into the self, then I offer all my ignorance, all my ignorance into the self and become one with the self. I become the knowledge, and that is called jnana yajna. Swadhyaya jnana yajnascha yataya sankshita brataha. And there are others also who do this, who commence this journey with a very, very difficult, taking very, very difficult resolutions. Taking very, very difficult resolutions. They discipline their body, they discipline their mind just to reach the self. So these are all kinds of yajnas that we have discussed. Okay, so today I'm going to stop here. I hope that uh, this was beneficial for you. Any comments? Any